All right. We are live. Awesome. So we are going to give this another second or two as we wait for people to hop on to YouTube. But for those of you who are joining us either live or after we recorded, thank you so much for taking the time to learn a little bit more about SYA. We are going to be focusing on the semester and year-long programs at our campuses in France, Italy, and Spain. I know some of you who are looking into SYA are interested in our summer program, which is great, but we will not be focusing on that tonight. So again, we're focusing on our year-long and semester academic programming at School Year Abroad. We can go ahead and get started with our introductions. So my name is Maggie Bland, and I work in admissions at School Year Abroad, or SYA. And I also did my own study abroad and host family experience in Spain. So this is near and dear to my heart. And we are so excited to be joined tonight by our three amazing alumni of SYA. All three campuses are represented tonight, which we're very grateful for. So thank you in advance to our alumni. So we will hear from our alumni in a little bit, but right now we're going to do our introductions. So we will go Abby, Sundari, and then Maya. So Abby, go ahead.
Hola, soy Abby. Estudié el año pasado en Zaragoza, España. Ahora estoy en el segundo del bachillerato. Vivo en Massachusetts y asisto a Milton Academy. Now in English, I'm Abby. I studied last year in Zaragoza, Spain. I'm a senior. I go to Milton and I go to Milton Academy.
Thank you, Abby. All right, Sundari.
Bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Sunari, je viens de Boston et j'ai étudié pendant 5 mois à Rennes en France. So hi everyone, I'm Sundari, I'm a student at Cho and I'm from Boston and I spent 5 months studying abroad in Rennes, France.
All right, and Maya.
Ciao, mi chiamo Maya. L'anno scorso ho studiato in Italia e adesso vado a Green Hill School in Dallas. So in English, I'm Maya. I go to Green Hill School, and last year I was in Italy in Viterbo.
Thank you all. All right, so we are going to move to our admissions presentation time. So our alumni are going to exit the stage. We will take you off the screen, and then I will share my screen so we can do the admissions presentation. After the admissions presentation, we will have our Q&A with our alumni. We have received your pre-submitted questions if you registered in advance. If not, please use the chat and comment feature to submit your questions during the presentation and the Q&A, because we can always add in at the end. So I will present. All right. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Maggie Bland. I work in admissions. And tonight we are focusing on our semester and full year programs at SYA, or School Year Abroad. So picture yourself here, traveling through your host country, learning the language through conversations with locals, and living with a host family. So if this is something that excites you, it is time to apply to SYA. With campuses in France, Italy, and Spain, SYA is here to turn your learning journey into one that is focused on hands-on and real-world experiences at one of our three campuses. So we do offer the full year program, the full academic year, and also a fall semester and a spring semester option. So I will show a quick video and then we will continue on with the presentation.
Every experience you have here will be an adventure. The risks, the rewards, they're all included.
This entire year has just been about things being based on where we are or where we are going with the school next. You learn about something and then you get to experience it. That makes classes a lot more engaging, knowing that we're going to see the things that we're studying.
You really feel the gravity of the things that you learn out of your textbook rather than just hearing about them and memorizing some flashcards. I think it's the difference between memorization and understanding.
It's not just schoolwork, it's actual practical experience that you can't really get anywhere else.
What SYA does best is make students comfortable being uncomfortable. You really start to embrace the idea of being uncomfortable.
I don't think any other program could really give you this experience. And they're willing to throw their students into these situations, trust that we'll be okay. And in the end, we are okay. And I think that we take so much away from it just because SYA is willing to give us that trust and freedom.
So the capstone project is the culminating end of year project for all SYA students that's very much grounded in the fact that we are in Spain, and the goal of the project is to take best advantage of the resources that are around us.
I think that I've been able to get through the surface level of my experience here, not only with the land, but with the people. And I think that the longer that you're here, the deeper beneath the surface you can really get.
My host family, they are the cutest people I have ever met. I can leave Italy saying, I'm part Italian now. I'm part of their family, and they love me and I love them. The relationships that I've created with them, that's something that I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life.
My friends have been a big part of this experience because I've been able to find a really good group of people who are just as adventurous as I am. I'm very glad I did SYA. It has opened my horizons to travel and being more independent.
I know it can be sort of scary thinking, oh, 9 months in a foreign country, it flies by so fast and it's so fun. It's an experience that I feel so fortunate to have been involved in. It's not something that a lot of people get to do, so if you have the opportunity, please do it.
For anyone who's on the fence about going to SYA or even applying, the fact that you're even thinking about it probably means that you're somebody who should be here.
All right, so just to recap what we covered in the video, all of our students live with their personally matched host family as they immerse themselves in the local culture and feel truly at home while living abroad. So again, each SYA student has their own host family to encourage full language immersion. So we have campuses, again, in France, Italy, and Spain, and these are our campus buildings. So another common question that we get is, where will I actually be going to school? So you'll be going to school with about 50 to 60 other students from schools all across the United States. And so that's at these 3 campus buildings each day. Each campus does have an exchange with a local high school to meet some local friends and make some connections. But classes each day will be in that group of just SYA students. So we do have a 2-year or level 2 language requirement for France and Spain. And then for our Italy program, we just require that you have taken a different language during your high school years, but we do not require that you know or have taken Italian. So I know that that may sound intimidating for particularly our France and Spain programs. And I do want to take a moment to assure you that a wide variety of language learners excel at SYA due to our fully immersive curriculum. So we hear all the time that students are really nervous to jump into the full immersion experience, but they learn extremely quickly and gain confidence within the first few weeks at SYA. As part of our fieldwork curriculum, about 1 day a week, students will get outside of the classroom and learn from the culture around them. That can be interviewing locals for political science, presenting research, or going to museums for art history. So it's really to get our students to take ownership of their learning and to see their material come to life. So all of our students will grow in their independence at SYA, and part of that is through our school organized trips throughout each country. So these trips are led by SYA faculty. So students travel in small groups to smaller cities across the country. And some of these you may recognize, some you may not. And that's, again, to really get our students out in the host country and exploring and also really practicing the language skills. So these are the places that our students attend or our students go to in small groups, again, led by SYA faculty. So we do have a capstone project at SYA. This is a final project. Both semester and full year students participate in this. So recent capstones include researching fashion, investigating farming practices, and studying environmental sustainability. So this is really an opportunity for students to just dive into a subject that is interesting to them, and again, continue to take ownership of their learning and present their findings and research to their classmates. All of our SYA students participate in 2 local activities. So that can be a cooking class, a ceramics class, continuing to play a sport. I actually just found out that our SYA Spain campus now offers lacrosse, which is really exciting. So we really want to be able to offer new opportunities, but also continue the hobbies and opportunities students love to do at their home schools in Europe. So each campus does have an extracurricular coordinator who will help facilitate that during orientation. Our teachers are a blend of American and local teachers. Our American teachers teach English and math in English, and then the other 4 subjects are taught by local teachers. In Spain and France, they are taught in the target language, and then in Italy, they are kind of wading into Italian throughout the year and kind of progressively getting into more Italian in the classes. So that's 2 language classes and then 2 elective classes that the students choose. Colleges love SYA. It can be a really great sign to show to colleges that you have the grit and ambition it takes to live in a new country and learn a new language. Each of our campuses has a college liaison who will help our juniors start the process and our seniors complete their applications. We're also SAT testing sites, but the really important thing here is that students find their voices overseas and can present themselves as a truly distinguished and independent candidate as they apply to colleges and universities. So these are the most frequently attended colleges and universities in the past 5 years by SYA graduates. So it's something that we really pride ourselves in, but I think it can be really important for students to have that perspective going into the college process as well. We have amazing financial aid, over $2 million in financial aid and over 10 scholarships. So we encourage all families who are interested in that to apply. The application deadline is also February 9th, which is our general application deadline as well. So in conclusion, we believe that this is a risk worth taking and that it's time to do something different during your high school years. So we hope that you consider this and consider making a wonderful place like Rennes, France, Viterbo, Italy, or Zaragoza, Spain, your home. So please do apply by February 9th and follow us on our social media accounts. Our campus reporters are posting and creating content for us weekly, which is really exciting to see for the students who want to see what it's really like on the ground. So we encourage you to check our social media out as well. So I will stop sharing my screen and we will transition to our alumni Q&A. So we are bringing back our alumni, Maya, Sundari, and Abby. Welcome back, and thank you for being here once again, representing our 3 campus locations. So we are going to dive into our Q&A, and we are going to start with the favorite class. So Sundari, can you talk a little bit about your favorite class in France?
Yeah, so my favorite class was a political science class I took, and I personally already had an interest in political science before I came to France, so this was a really cool way for me to be able to continue that interest I already had. And we started by looking specifically at French governments, but also on a global scale. We did a little Model UN. So for me, this was very interesting just because I was learning so much new material, both in relation to France, but also to the whole world. And I had the most wonderful teacher ever, Monsieur Monteville. And he actually retired at the end of our school year, which left a lot of us in tears. He was just such a great teacher for us. So I think that just kind of showcases what a great class and what a great teacher that really was for us.
Thank you, Sundari. Yeah, so as I mentioned, all of our students take 6 classes at all 3 campuses. So math and English will be taught in English. It's 2 language classes. One is a little bit more grammar focused. The other is experiential language. So we're really getting outside the classroom. We're learning from conversation. We're learning the practical skills of how to get by through the initial conversations that you'll have with your host families and in the country. And then the final 2 are the elective courses, like Sundari was talking about: political science, environmental science, art history, cinema, politics, and all of those are on our website. And so they differ a little bit depending on the country. And as Sundari mentioned, it's really amazing for students to see their textbooks come to life. In France and Spain, the electives are taught in the target language. And then Italy, again, kind of wades into Italian, but it can be really an incredible experience to learn new material in the target language as well. And then moving on to our activities. So Abby, can you tell us a little bit about an activity you participated in Spain, please?
Yeah, so something I was a little worried about before leaving for SYA was not being able to play soccer in Spain. But pretty much right when I arrived in Spain, I started playing with a local club team, and I practiced with them twice a week. And that was a great way to keep up my soccer skills, but also to meet Spanish girls my age. And apart from soccer, I took a flamenco dance class, a cooking class, and a painting class. So I was definitely busy.
Yeah, no, it's great because it's a common question we get. What do I do after school? And because we don't have our own SYA sports, often students are asking about that time in between a host family dinner and when classes end. And so you clearly took advantage of the great opportunities given to you at SYA. Our extracurricular coordinator on each campus will kind of lay out the options for our students in orientation, and then it's up to our students to really pursue what they are interested in. So whether that's playing a sport that you play at your home school and continuing it on a club team, or trying something new, all options are there for you in the local community. So that's awesome, Abby. Thank you. All right, so we have to go to SYA Italy for our food topic. So Maya, can you tell us a little bit about your favorite food in Italy?
Yeah, so my favorite food was the ricotta and spinach tortellini with butter and sage sauce, and that's a really typical dessert. I mean, sorry, not dessert, pasta from Bologna. And I had it when I went for independent travel, and then also when I went with my family 2 weeks later, and it was just so good. I had that, I think, every single day while I was there.
Thank you. While we're on this topic of food, can we just share for each campus where you ate lunch? That is one of our most common questions we get. So Maya, where did you eat lunch in Italy?
So we had an option to eat for free at this dining hall connected to the university, but we also could go wherever we wanted to for lunch. So usually it was a mix between the two. So a lot of times we went to a restaurant or just picked up some pizza, things like that.
Okay. Abby?
We ate at a local elementary school that was just down the street. But on Fridays, SYA gave us some money to go out to a restaurant.
Awesome. So you had both options too. And Sundari?
Yeah, we ate at a local high school that was just like 1 block away from our campus, but we also had the option of going into town to buy something to eat if we wanted to.
Great. So flexible options for everyone, but also a local school-based option for every campus, which is awesome. Okay. Now moving on to our trips through SYA. So Maya, could you share a little bit about one of your favorite SYA trips?
Yeah, so mine is between two. They're pretty equal. The first one was in February. I went to Venice with 6 of my friends for independent travel, and we could only go for 2 nights, but we just made the most of it. And like on Saturday, we spent the whole day out just seeing as much as we could. And it was really, really fun because I would never otherwise be able to do that. And the other one was our school trip to Sicily, which was 8 days in March. It was just really nice. The weather was amazing, and it was such a pretty place, and there was so much to do and see, and the food was amazing. I just love Sicily, and everyone was so happy there.
That's great. So I'm so glad you brought up two different options. So the SYA travel is kind of during our school breaks, our SYA faculty will organize school-based trips in small groups of students. Once students have been with us for a few months, have maintained good academic standing, and then have shown proficiency in the language, they are able to plan an agenda that gets approved by our resident director and also their folks at home if they would like to travel with a few buddies from SYA. So that happens a few months into the program. Again, approval will need to be from the school and folks at home, but that is an option that students can earn through their time here. Now on to host families. I'm going to turn to Sundari for this. Can you tell us a little bit about your host family and maybe a memory you share with them?
Yeah, I always have so much to say about my host family. It's always the first thing I talk about whenever I'm asked about my time in France. So I was living with my 2 host parents, Isabelle and Philippe. They had 4 children, but all of them had moved out. But my host brother and host sister came and visited on the weekends. And when I just think about a really sweet memory between us is we went to visit Isabelle's parents for my final weekend in France. And I personally have a lot of cousins at home, and so being away from them for a while was kind of difficult. But all of my host siblings and their friends and their cousins just kind of swept me up into their activities, and it was really great. We spent the day at the beach and playing hide and go seek and board games late at night, and it just really felt like home for me.
That's amazing. I love how much in these stories the extended family comes into this. For a lot of people I've heard from, it's like not only just your immediate family who you see during the week and you have every dinner with, but it's like everyone else in the family who's close by or celebrating a birthday or having a holiday. So it definitely is an incredible testament to our host families at SYA. They really do treat the SYA children like their own children. If that host family goes to an event, that they will bring their host student, their host child. And so it really is an immersive process in that sense too. And all of our students do fill out a long survey before they attend SYA, indicating their preferences for their host family. So whether that's having young children in the house, older children, pets, allergies, all that stuff, you'll indicate before you attend. And then our host family coordinator on each campus will pair you with the family we think you'd be a best fit with. And our host family coordinator will be checking in with our students throughout the year. So if anything comes up or a communication issue or just feedback in general, our host family coordinators are the point of contact for that. So that's definitely a reassuring thing to have in our community, that our students can constantly be talking about how their host family relationship is going. So on to fieldwork days. Abby, can you share a little bit about a fieldwork day that you remember in Spain?
Yes, so I have two that I have to share. My first favorite was one day we went to a vineyard, or like a winery, and we picked a ton of grapes, and then we put them into this huge barrel, and we all got to stomp on them until they were like liquid, until we had grape juice. And then we got to see how the grape juice like turned into wine. We got to like see the whole process. So that was really cool. And then my other favorite field work was one day we went to Madrid, and Zaragoza is an hour train ride from Madrid and Barcelona. It's like right in the middle, which is a super convenient location. So we woke up super early and we took the train to Madrid, and we went to the Prado Museum, and then we had a big typical Madrid lunch, and then we got to spend the afternoon and evening just exploring the city, and then we were back in Zaragoza for bedtime.
Such an amazing location. I remember when I visited our SYA Spain campus, thinking how great it was that they picked the location that they did, because it's very, very little English is spoken. But then you can get to these major cities like Madrid and Barcelona so easily. So I'm so glad that you got to take advantage of that during a fieldwork activity. So on to our capstone projects, our final projects. Sundari, can you tell us a little bit about what you focused on for your project?
Yes, so personally, I'd heard actually through my politics class that Rennes actually has percentage-wise a very large homeless population. So I was doing some research into kind of why that was, and also what services were being provided to the homeless population in the area. So I got to connect with some amazing organizations in Rennes, and I connected with so many people, and I learned so much. And it really changed the way I view just the world in general. So I'm very grateful that I got to do that project.
That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of our capstone project research is local interviews. So connecting with people who are connected to the topic that you are interested in, local experts, local business managers, and everything in between. And I think it's such powerful experience to go out into the community, interview locals, and kind of collect your findings and share that out. So that's awesome and an amazing cause. And then finally for Maya, what would you tell to the people watching who are maybe unsure about applying, or kind of what was it for you that made you end up applying to SYA?
Yes, when I first heard about SYA, I was also a bit nervous to apply because my only option was Italy, since I hadn't studied Spanish or French before, and I didn't think I would be like able to learn a whole language in a year and like be able to live in a country where I had to do that. So I didn't really think about it that much at first because I thought it would be too hard. But then the more I looked at the website, I realized it was something I really wanted to do. And so then I just applied because I thought it would be really cool to have the opportunity to travel that much, to see this new place, and like get to live here. And there was so much that I would otherwise never have the opportunity to do until college. But even then, in college, it's very different from studying abroad in high school. So I'm really glad I did it. And like learning the language was so much easier than I thought it would be because you're just surrounded by it all the time. And I learned so much from my host family and so much from my teachers. So you really pick it up super quickly.
I'm so glad you mentioned the language aspect to this. Every student who comes to SYA is nervous about the language, as it's totally understandable. But I think sometimes students watching or hesitating to apply think that students come into SYA just extremely confident. And when I'm at departures every year, I see students so nervous about jumping into the language because a lot of our students have just completed level 2 or 2 years. And I know from my personal experience as well that I learned so much faster when I was surrounded by the language and I was practicing with my host family. The stakes were lower. I was less nervous. I could make mistakes and I wouldn't really get down on myself for it. So it's a completely different learning environment. And when I was presenting at Milton Abbey School, the coordinator had done the math and learned that at SYA in the first 2 weeks, you get the same number of hours in the target language that you do in, I think it's a semester of a high school level language. So that just speaks to the power of immersion and how quickly it can happen. And I hear that from students that, oh, I really wasn't confident in the language before, and I really showed myself that I could learn the language really quickly. So I'm so glad you had that experience, Maya. So we are going to wrap up with our pre-submitted questions. So we have a question here about kind of the full year versus semester option. And the exact question is, what might I get out of the full year versus a semester? So Sundari, I'll start with you because you did a semester, and then we'll go to Abby just about your own experiences and what you may recommend to a student who is considering both.
Yeah, so I did only the spring semester, so January through May. That's just because that's how my school set it up. That was my only option. But personally, I feel like I definitely did get to max out my experience. I got to go on 2 school trips and 2 independent trips as well. I will say, that being said, of course, everyone always wants more time. So I really would have loved to do more time, but I also think that if a semester is what you're looking for, I don't think you should feel like you're not going to get the full experience, because I think it is possible to get a good experience even with 1 semester.
Totally. Thank you. Abby?
Yeah, if you're on the fence about the semester versus the full year, I totally understand because I was in the exact same position like 2 years ago. Because I think it's really scary to think about leaving your school for a year. But personally, I would totally recommend going for the year because I think that staying for the year allows you to truly master the language. I mean, and no matter your skill level when you start, I think you can become fluent, if not very close to fluent, after a year, just because of how much you're going to be speaking the language. You can also build really, really close relationships with your host family and also your friends at SYA. And you get to know the city that you're living in so well. It will really start to feel like home. And I also think there's more travel opportunities if you're there for the year. Because I counted, and over the year, I visited 30 different places in Spain, which is amazing. And I'll also add that my experience coming back to school in the United States has been super easy. Because keep in mind that if you stay for the year, you'll go back to school in the fall, and everyone will have been away for the summer. And I think that's really helpful in making the transition back easier.
Totally. Thank you both. I think I totally agree. Both experiences are extremely valuable. They're pretty different. And we get the question a lot, okay, if I go for the fall, can I stay for the spring if I really love it? And the answer is no. You have to apply for the program that you are that you're hoping to commit to. That's because we get visas and we do the host family placements and everything. So you do have to go in, confident in your decision. But at the same time, it's a great opportunity, I think, to really take the time and think about why am I leaning towards the semester or the full year? I think a lot of times I hear students say, I'm leaning towards the semester because I think it'll be easier. And I usually say, okay, let's actually talk about that because, you may be transitioning back to a school mid-year or you're jumping in like Sundari did in the spring. And a lot of students have been there for 4-ish months. And so that's going to be a big language jump. So it really is good at this point in the process to weigh out the pros and cons. And we're also happy to talk you through this and the admissions team if you're thinking, I just don't know and I can't decide. We also do have an option on our application to put 2 choices, a first and second choice. So if you're thinking, okay, I want to apply for Spain fall, but I'd rather put Spain full year as my second choice if the fall didn't work out. That is an option for you. So keep that in mind as well. We do want you to go in confident in your first choice, but you do have the option to put a second choice in your application. So would I stay with the same host family all year? Yes. Our students do stay with the same host family the whole time they're with us. We have an awesome group of host families that we've worked with in the past couple of years, and most of our families are personally referred to us through an existing host family if they would like to join. So it's a pretty insular network that we're very confident in. Full background checks, full home visits, and then our host family coordinator will be checking in with the student throughout the year as well. We do have a common question about school breaks and vacations. So for winter break, for example, it's a great time for families to come visit if they're able to. For our full year students, we often encourage that. We encourage that over students going home for a break, just because it can be hard to jump back into English, seeing friends, and then coming back to campus. But that is up to our students to decide. But by far and away, most students stay the whole time they're at SYA rather than going home. Maya, do you want to share a little bit about vacations?
Yeah, so for winter break, my family came and visited me, and then in Italy, and then we just went to a bunch of different places around the country. And I think that was really great. I'm glad I did that instead of going home or leaving Italy, because I feel like, one, I got to see so many more places, and also it was just nice to experience that with my family after having done it by myself for 4 months. And then we had 11 days, I think, for spring break in April. And so for that, I did half with my mom. She came to visit, and we went to Switzerland. And then I came back and I spent the second half with my friends doing independent travel in Milan and Genoa. So I think that was really great because I got to do a mix of both.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think so for those families at home who are thinking, oh, I don't know if I can come visit, we totally understand. And the host family is more than prepared to have host the child over the break. So you don't need to feel like, oh, what are we going to do during winter break? Host families are fully ready to continue that time with our students. We often also hear that that's a really valuable time to have with the host family. Celebrating holidays and experiencing that downtime together can be really great for making memories and continuing to bond. So we are fully prepared to host the students through those breaks as well. And our school calendars for this year are on our website. Okay, I think that those were all of our pre-submitted questions. So we really appreciate you submitting those questions today and taking the time to show up for this session. Just a reminder to please follow us on our social media accounts, our Instagram, our TikTok, and then definitely please email me if you have any more questions. My email is mbland@sya.org. And finally, thank you so much to Maya, Abby, and Sundari for joining tonight. You all did a fantastic job, and I know that our future students are very grateful for your participation. So thank you all so much for attending tonight and sharing your experiences. I learned so much from you, and I'm really grateful for your participation. So thank you, everybody, and we hope you have a great night. Bye-bye.